Below is an introduction to the MIS implant products. There are 4 types of implants, consisting of 2 types of screws and 2 types of rods. There are 2 types of vertebral screws. One is a universal screw, and the other is a directional screw. The main thread of the vertebral screw is designed with a double helix, which allows for faster insertion into the vertebral body. The thread head of the vertebral screw is designed with symmetrical cutting edges, making the insertion process more relaxed. The distal end of the vertebral screw is evenly designed with 6 bone cement outlets, facilitating the injection of bone cement into the interior of the vertebral body. The universal screw and the directional screw have the same thread structure. The universal screw can rotate with a unilateral offset angle of 25 along the axis. At the target position, the vertebral screw can achieve a maximum offset angle of 40 to accommodate the implantation into the vertebral body at a large angle. The matching set screw is designed with a self-breaking feature, having a long tail part that can be twisted off. When tightening, the tail cap of the set screw is twisted off, which achieves the final locking of the rod. The locking thread of the vertebral screw's set screw is designed with a Revere pattern. This thread structure provides stronger locking stability, allowing for a smaller screw seat size. The smaller screw seat results in a lower notch, minimizing stimulation to the soft tissue. Next are the 2 types of rods. One is a pre-bent rod, and the other is a straight rod. The pre-bent rod is more commonly used clinically, with a pre-bent curvature that mimics the physiological arc, capable of meeting most clinical demands. The straight rod can be used directly, or it can be bent flexibly according to clinical needs. The above is the introduction to our MIS implant products. The patient was placed prone on the operating table, exposing his back. The positioning net was placed above the vertebral body requiring surgery. Through the positive and lateral X-ray, combined with CT data, determine the appropriate needle entry point and angle, and mark the skin surface. After locating the positioning point, the pedicle was punctured with a puncture tool. After the puncture needle contacts the pedicle, the puncture point is reconfirmed with a CR machine. After it is accurate, the puncture needle is inserted into the pedicle. Take out the inner core of the puncture needle and insert the Phi 1.5 guide needle into the vertebral body along the puncture needle tube to ensure the stable connection between the guide needle and the vertebral body. Again, the position of the guide needle in the vertebral body was rechecked through the X-ray of the antero-posterior and lateral positions to ensure that the position was appropriate. The guide needle was retained in the vertebral body, and the puncture needle tube was taken out. According to the above puncture process, complete the puncture of the remaining vertebral bodies. After completing the puncture work, the soft tissue was separated and expanded. Make a small opening in the skin along both sides of the guide needle. 5-stage expansion sleeve. The first stage metal sleeve is inserted into the skin along the guide needle for tissue separation, and the sleeve is inserted into the pedicle surface. The remaining 4 polymer sleeves are inserted in order from small to large to establish channels. Pedicle opening operation. Pull out the primary metal sleeve and match the hollow open cone with a quick change handle. Along the guide pin and the secondary sleeve, the pedicle was opened with an open cone. Combining the ostium scale and the secondary expansion sleeve, the insertion depth of the opening cone into the pedicle can be identified. After completing the pedicle opening, remove the opening cone along the guide needle. Pedicle tapping operation. Select a small diameter tap, assemble a ratchet handle, and start tapping the pedicle along the guide needle. According to the scale on the tap and combined with the secondary sleeve, the tapping depth of the tap can be controlled. According to the order from small to large, the pedicle was tapped step by step. Determine whether the screw in depth of the tap is appropriate by X-ray, and identify the required length of the vertebral screw according to the screw in depth of the tap. Select the vertebral nail with appropriate length and diameter, and assemble the extension sleeve. Connect the nail applicator with the vertebral nail to form a stable hull, and assemble the ratchet handle. Multi-stage expansion sleeve. Keep the outermost layer. Insert the vertebral nail assembly along the guide pin and screw the vertebral nail to a suitable depth. Recheck the screw in state of vertebral nail under Extra. Complete vertebral screw placement. After the vertebral nail was implanted, the guide pin was removed. Follow the above steps to implant vertebral screws one by one. Two types of rod gauges are available, arc and straight. Insert the 2 feet of the rod gauge into the vertebral nail sleeve. The length of the desired bar can be read directly from the ruler. The length of the pickup bar cannot be less than the scale reading. Connect the rod to the rod holder. With a plum blossom screwdriver, lock the rod and the holder firmly. Before threading, confirm that the extension sleeve is at the correct angle. Make sure that one side of the opening of the sleeve is outward. Otherwise, the rod cannot smoothly penetrate into the appropriate position. Insert the rod along the opening side of the sleeve. After the rod contacts the pedicle screw, thread the rod between the minimally invasive sleeves according to the situation to ensure that the rod accurately passes through the next vertebral screw. After the rod was successfully inserted into the vertebral nail, the insertion of the apical screw was started. Screw the jack screw into the vertebral body along the sleeve with a jack screw self-supporting screwdriver. Use a pre-tightening screwdriver to pre-lock the jack screw. After the jack screw is pre-locked, loosen the nut of the rod setter and take out the rod setter. Prepare for distraction and compression of screws. First, put the expander and compressor along the sleeve to the bottom. On one side of the fixed end, rotate the handle to lock the sleeve to ensure stability during the expansion and compression process. Slide the connector onto the top of the sleeve. Tighten the end cap of the screw on one side and loosen the end cap on the other end by half a turn. If expansion is required, adjust the lever of the expansion compressor to the outside and rotate the handle outward to achieve expansion. If compression is required, adjust the lever of the compressor to the inside and rotate the handle inward to achieve compression. When the ideal position is reached, tighten the half-turn end cap to complete the process of expansion and compression. The counter sleeve is used with a continuous self-breaking screwdriver. Insert the counter wrench along the socket. The position should be deeper and contact the skin best. Insert the continuous self-breaking screwdriver into the sleeve and contact the tail of the self-breaking jack screw. Hold the counter wrench in one hand and the self-breaking screwdriver in the other. Lock the jack screw clockwise until the tail of the jack screw breaks. The continuous self-breaking screwdriver has a cavity inside, which can continuously carry out self-breaking locking operation on the jack screw. After locking all jack screws, take out the minimally invasive sleeve. Use the minimally invasive sleeve unloader to insert the minimally invasive sleeve to the bottom of the minimally invasive sleeve. Hold the unlocking device handle tightly. Unlock the minimally invasive sleeve and pull out the minimally invasive sleeve in the direction of the outside. The incision on the skin surface was sutured. The operation was over.